Hello, if you're watching the replay, this is going to be all about worry. We're going to talk today about what I think is probably one of the most common triggers for my clients who work with me on weight loss, and that is the idea that a lot of us have things in our lives that are triggering us to overeat. And so I work with a lot of women who are looking to lose weight just like I did, and I find that worry is one of the things that tends to be a surefire trigger to get us into overeating. And let me tell you why. So this is what we're going to talk a little bit about, how worry causes weight gain. I'm going to take my glasses off because I'm catching like a big time reflection over there in the light. But I want to talk about like worry in terms of its usefulness and its not usefulness, and then a technique on how to deal with some worry and just how it totally impacts your weight. So the first thing is that worry is one of those things that I think all of us do. We have things that we think are going on in our life and we feel like they're out of control. I think worry always stems from a thought that comes to us that we can't do anything about this. Hey, Heidi, hope you're feeling good. I hope you're past Frankenstage. It's one of those things. So like we'll worry about stuff because we don't really have any control over it, or we think we don't have any control over a situation. And so that triggers that helplessness. And for a lot of us, when we feel like we can't do anything about something, when we feel very helpless, then we'll worry as if it's going to fix something, as if it is being productive. A lot of us think that we're just supposed to worry about certain things. I just can't help but worry. There's all kinds of stuff like that. Then here comes the next problem. When you start worrying and nothing's changing, and you're just exasperating your fear around a situation, you're scared about a situation and stuff, guess what happens next? We start triggering all the feelings that we don't like, and so we'll go to food to avoid feeling those things. Worry literally, guys, serves no purpose. I want you to really think about this. At any time, does worry ever solve something for you? It doesn't solve anything. It gives you something to do with no payoff. So one of the things that I've been I listened to a book this morning. I'm listening to Girl Wash Your Face. It's so good. A lot of you have recommended it. One of my clients who is just a treasured soul, she actually got to talk and have lunch with the author yesterday, and I caught it on Instagram, and I was like, girl, I'm ordering the book. She was talking about how real the author was, and I was like, all right, I'm all in. And then it's by Rachel Hollis, by the way. She was talking about basically being in control of your life. And then I was listening to another podcast this morning by Lewis Howes, who I love Lewis Howes' podcast. He's a great guy. He was talking about being a Jedi master of your, basically of your emotions. And so these things all tied really well with worry, because worry comes from not being willing to take ownership of what you're thinking, and that you ultimately do have control over what's going to happen. So here's my surefire technique, because I think that if a lot of you could get to the point to where things in the world happen and you deliberately slow yourself down to think about how you want to show up for it versus just reacting to things with worry, or reacting with anger, or reacting with eating, if we just get to where we can slow ourselves down long enough to be like, all right, I'm going to decide what to do with this, rather than just being like out of control on it. The way that I would take your worries is I would make a list of everything you're worried about right now. Like all of it. Like have your rant list. Like these are every single worry. Do not, for any circumstance, not put something down. Like give yourself a good 10 to 15 minutes to just write. It's really important you get all of them out of your head. One, it's because you really need the awareness of how much you're worrying. You really need to see, here's all the things that are rattling around in my brain at any given time. Because if you want to lose weight, you have to know two things: what you eat and what you think. If you don't know those two things, you're not going to lose weight. I promise you. So you want to know what it is that you're thinking about all the time. Then the next thing you do is you make two lists. Here are all the things that I'm worried about that are like, I can do something about. Like, here are the things that there's actually something I can do. And so I'm going to put those in one side. And then here are all the things that I'm worried about that I have like really no control over. Like, let's say that you have a kid who is in their 30s and they're not making the best choices in the world. Like worrying about that is not helping you. It's not helping them. You can't control what they're doing. So you want to put that on your list of things that is like non-essential worry. Like, these are the things that like I cannot affect. The only thing that's happening is it's affecting me. It's not allowing me to show up for anyone, including myself, in a good way. Luau. Sorry, my cat is like making love to the tripod, turning the camera around. He's over there like, mommy. So you make your two lists. You're going to take your list where you actually can do something about it, and then you're going to take them one at a time. I don't care, guys, if it takes you a week. Spend the time working on it. You're going to take that side, and you're going to brainstorm how you can do things, like what can you do about these things. Very often what we did is, did you read my TDL this morning? No. I just know that all of us bitches are always worrying. And I know that it's a topic we all need to talk about. So you make your list of all the things that you can do stuff with, and then you brainstorm. You put yourself basically into the driver's seat. You take yourself out of thinking things are happening to you, and you put yourself into a position of, what are the things I could be doing? What it does is, even if you're not ready to take some of those steps, it gets you into brainstorming mode, and it reduces the stress and tension of thinking there's nothing you can do about it, or wondering what's going to happen, or what if this, what if that. It really lets you put things into perspective of like, there's so much I actually can do. And let me just, like, I'm sure that I'm snapping a light bulb on this one. When you're brainstorming and solving your problems, guess what you're not freaking doing? Eating because you feel like a helpless victim. If you want to lose weight, get out of victim mode. And the more you can get out of victim mode, the better. So when you're worrying, guys, you need to see that as a red flag of, I am being a victim to my life, rather than I am going to just see my life. I'm going to figure out how I can make this just like, all right, this is the stuff that I need to deal with. So how do I want to start dealing with it? There's just no upside to worrying. There's no upside to pretending that you have like no stake. Like, you don't get to think how you want to think. You always do. You don't have to love everything that happens to you, but you also don't have to feel like you can't do anything about it. You also don't have to think that you're helpless. You also don't have to think that things are terrible and happening to you. You can think, I don't like that, but I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm going to figure out something that I can do for myself about this. I'm going to figure out how to solve my problems and not let my problems be the ruler over me. The quicker you guys can start learning how to do that, the faster you lose weight. I promise you, and if you're one of my tribe members, you can just say it loud and proud here. Every time you've overate in the last week or two, it's probably been because you've been worried about something. Worried about what people will think if you don't eat. Worried that you won't get to have this again for a long time. Worried that you'll feel deprived. Worried you'll be hungry later. There's all kind of worry. It ain't just all about like, I'm worried my kid's going to do drugs. Don't always have to be like that. Look for where your worry is showing up. I promise you, it is a key to weight loss. Learning how to get control over worry and realizing that it sucks, but is truly one of the most helpful things you'll do for yourself. So then you take your other list. The thing is over here, there's nothing I can do about this. Like, I am not going to be, let's pretend you're going to have to put your cat down in 2 days. I know that's terrible. I forgot my cat over here. Worrying about that is not going to make that go away. It's going to make the next 2 days take the eye off of just being sad about it. So rather than worrying, what can you be doing? You're not going to be able to change that. But you can absolutely sit there and you can cry. You can spend time with your cat. You can do all kinds of other things. There's I know that's a silly example or little example, but it shows you really quick how often we slip into the most ineffective way to handle our life, which is with worry. So you're going to make 2 lists. First of all, you're going to get down and dirty on everything that you're worried about. And then you're going to break it down into 2 lists. And then you're going to look at the one where it's like, my worry will solve nothing. There's really nothing I can do on this one. You're just going to decide every time you try to worry about it, every time you catch yourself going there, just be like, no, that's not something I can worry about. That's not something I can solve. Like, it's now off limits. And guys, let me tell you, a lot of you argue with me and defend your misery. I love it when my clients, I will talk to them about their misery and they will sit there and they will argue and they will justify their worry and how, they just want to hang on to it. And I'm like, do you want to argue with me? This is what I love to ask. Do you want to win the argument that you should spend time being miserable and worried? Or would you like me to win the argument and say, why don't we learn to quit doing this? Why don't we just figure out a way to improve our lives? What if we worked harder on that than we are going to work on justifying our misery? Because here's the thing. If you win justifying misery and worry, all you get is misery and worry. You don't win fucking shit. And I'm going to tell you, going into your worry, going into your misery, you might as well give yourself a beeline to the refrigerator. That's what happens. So really watch yourself when you're trying to argue with someone around hanging on to your pain. Because I'm not saying don't feel pain, but worry that's not one to feel. That's not one to do. It's just useless. It keeps you from grieving. It keeps you from sadness. It keeps you from happiness. It keeps you from problem solving. It keeps you from controlling your life. It keeps you in victim mode. It keeps you in overwhelm. Most of you who are worried the first thing you'll tell me is, I'm just so overwhelmed. So you'll worry, and worry doesn't do anything. So guess what? More shit gets loaded onto the pile. You're just increasing the stuff you need to do, the things you're thinking about. I'm always a big, big fan of getting into action, getting into doing something, getting into figuring out, what do I control here and how can I start doing that? So let's go to some questions and see what you guys have to say this morning. I'm going to tell you guys, so I'm going to be let me give you a moment of brutal honesty. I started my period and it is outrageously painful today. I was trying to work out. I was getting nauseated. I was walking. I was getting nauseated. I decided to meditate. And then when the lady told me to start focusing my breath on my abdomen, I got pissed. I was like, I'm meditating and I'm mad that she wants me to breathe through these cramps. I was like, all right, we're done meditating. So I turned that off, took a shower, I wanted to cancel this live so bad. Seriously. Like, really wanted to cancel this live. And this really has nothing to do with worry, but I do have somewhere that I'm going with this. And so I'm like taking a shower. I'm trying to figure out how I could cancel this live and everything. And I said, oh my God, are you serious? You're spending all this time figuring out how you can get out of doing something that you said you would do. I said, what if you just decide you're going to do it anyway? You won't die or get I'm definitely going to get pregnant on this raging ass period. And like, just do it. Just do it. And so about that time, I'm listening to that book, Girl, Wash Your Face. And she talked about how important it is to notice how you show up in life. Do you break your commitments or do you keep your commitments? And I was like, well, I don't want to practice breaking this commitment. Like, I've been going strong on these Facebook Lives now for like almost 2 years. I think I've missed like 2, and most of them have been planned. Like, if I've ever missed any, it's because it was planned. It was like, we won't have one this week in advance, right? But I think I've only missed 1 or 2 the entire time, just, due to something or whatever, And I thought, that is like divine intervention. Like, I really need to hear that, because the last thing I want to do is be someone that breaks commitments to themselves. And I think that y'all need to do that with worry. Like, I think you need to, if worry is a problem for you, you may need to spend more time in the next few weeks committing to the idea of not being a worrier than you need to be, planning workouts or cutting foods out of your diet or whatever. Like, I know I have sometimes the most unconventional diet advice that ever was. My cat is in the closet acting like an idiot. But I really believe that losing weight has so much more to do with what you think on a regular basis and how you show up in your life on a regular basis than it ever has to do with what food you keep in the house, what goes on your meal plan, and things like that. Weight loss is more a bunch of skills in how you channel your mind. Because if you're going to lose weight, one, you got to believe you can lose weight. You got to learn how to believe that. A lot of you are like where I was. When I was 250 pounds, I didn't believe I could lose weight. So I had to start with believing that I could make better choices tomorrow. I didn't practice the long-term belief. But what I didn't practice either was telling myself I couldn't lose weight. It was a series of negotiations. Like, when it comes to worry, I refused to worry if I was going to lose 100 pounds. A lot of you will not do that in the beginning. You will sit there and you will spin yourself out on worrying if you're going to lose it fast enough, worrying if you're going to lose 100 pounds, worrying how long it's going to take, worrying about your loose skin, worrying about all these things. It's like, that's fucking bullshit. Just stop. It has zero purpose and will do zero for your waistline. What you need to think about is, what can I control? You know what I can control? The freak I put in my mouth today. I can control what I'm going to commit to today. I can also control not committing to things that I think I should be eating. I'm going to commit to what I will eat today. And let me tell you guys, I teach it very unconventionally. When my girls start with me, their food plans do not look like what they're going to be eating at 150 pounds. Their food plans look like what they need to be eating at 250 pounds, which is something so simple to execute. It doesn't take a lot of bandwidth with your mind to do so. It is all about practice and skills. Look for where you're worrying about your weight. Look for what you're worrying about in your life. Figure out what worry is useless, and then just disallow that from now on. And when you catch yourself there, you just say, no ma'am, well, we don't worry about that anymore. You know what we do? We focus on what we can control. I don't need to worry if I'm going to lose 100 pounds. What I can do is I can be really focused on this week, My goal is like 1 or 2 pounds. And to get there, here are the things I know I can do and I'm willing to commit to. I'm going to stay very focused on right now. That's how I had to start things. I just couldn't start like I did every other time I tried to lose weight, which was start with it all. Out of fear, I wasn't going to get there fast enough. And I tell y'all this all the time, but like seriously, and I mean, I've got several podcasts on this. If you're new to me, if you're just finding this live, I have a podcast called Losing 100 Pounds with Fit and Fat. You can go to it's PHIT.click/podcast and you can listen to them. But I'm going to tell you, it took me 18 months to lose 100 pounds, and I know plenty of people that lose weight a lot faster than that. I also know plenty of my clients who have in the past, before they joined me, they lost 100 pounds, or they lost 80, or they lost 60, and they lost it nice and fast, and they're back with me because they want to lose it for their life. They didn't lose it in a way that set them up for long-term success. I knew when I was ready to lose my weight for the last time, I was ready to do it for the last time. I didn't want to do that shit again. Nobody should have to. We should all be afforded the opportunity to be able to learn how to lose weight in a way that keeps it off for good. And not only keep it off for good, but to trust and feel confident that it's not coming back. I watch too many people lose weight and then sit there in fear the entire time they're in maintenance until they gain the weight back because they're so tired of being scared all the time. They just start living a little, and a little becomes a lot because they never really learned how to deal with their shit. All right, let's see. We've got a lot of groupies in the house, a lot of tribe members. Hello, Terry and Elaine and Candace. Let's see. Joanne. Been doing my 24-hour plan, sticking to it. Thank you, Corinne, a groupie. Somebody's from Knoxville, yeah. Morning. I did really enjoy that book, Girl Wash Your Face, very real, much like you. Thank you, Kate. I'm going to put it in my kit store because I think it's going to be a great one. Judy, I will see you Friday. You cannot worry about 13.1. In fact, we are already getting stuff together. So we have our PNP half marathon coming up this weekend, a 5K, 10K half marathon, and we've got like 80-something girls coming to town to do it. We're all super excited. The medals are here. They're beautiful. Let's see. I'm still looking for some questions. Does anybody have questions? Beer is entertainment. I'm realizing now it's a storm, Melissa. Wow, I can't believe this is the topic of conversation today. I literally had a light bulb go off in my mind last night in regards to this. I truly believe what you're saying is correct. Thank you, Lisa. Ate cookies last night because I worried someone would eat them and I wouldn't get any. Guess who was up 3 pounds today? Listening and walking this morning. Yeah, Christina. That's one of those funny things. It's like, so worried you won't get any of the cookies. And it's like, why not just save one and hide it? And just be like, that's my cookie, damn it. It's on my plan for tomorrow. And then just tell the people, say, hey, mama saved a cookie. Get your damn hands off my cookie. Put a note on it, like sticky, that says, mama's cookie. Anyone who eats it will, perish and go to hell. Antonia, why is this making me cry this morning? Because I'll tell you why it probably makes you cry. So many of you worry so much, and then when you hear me talk about the concept, it's like it brings a level of awareness to you that you are consumed with it. And I'm going to tell you, there's a piece of like when you realize how much you worry and how useless it is, there's a sadness that comes about. And usually it's because you think, I am just wasting my time. There's always some kind of a thought there. And I encourage you to say, like, not to go there, to just be like, you know what? It doesn't matter how I've been in the past. It doesn't matter how much I worry and all this other kind of stuff. What really matters is, am I willing to do the work now to solve this? Am I willing to continually commit to being a non-worrier? Am I willing to catch myself when I do it and not beat myself up over it? Not say like, oh, you just heard Corinne's podcast 2 days ago. You're not supposed to be worried, and here you are again. You'll never get over this. Guys, so many of you do this all the time. I catch you guys in the tribe, seriously. You will say that about overeating. It's like, you've listened to the lessons and look at you. You just can't do it. And your brain just goes into this spin out cycle about how terrible you are. And it's like, just stop. Just because you're thinking it, like, this is what I want you guys to really learn how to do. It's not so much stop that line of thinking. I want you to stop believing that line of thinking. Like, let your brain throw a tantrum, but just be like, I get it. Like, we think some shitty things. That's okay. Go run yourself ragged over there. But I don't believe any of it. All thoughts are just things that you have a choice on believing. Once you really start understanding that your brain can say lots of things, but you don't have to act on it, or you don't have to feel on it, and you don't have to believe it, then you're like allowing yourself to have like routine, habitual things that you've thought over your lifetime, and not make it mean something terrible about yourself. Not worry that you're broken. Seriously. Worried I'm broken. Worried I'll never get over this. Worried this won't ever stop. Worried I won't be able to be the person I want to be. It's like, do you see how like quickly it spirals out of control? When you really allow yourself to like somebody yesterday was saying in the tribe how when they overeat, they'll say, you fat piece of crap, you're never going to be able to lose weight. Why even try? And I said, I don't care if you think that. I just don't want you to believe that it's true. So if you think, you fat piece of crap, you're never going to lose weight, then you immediately say, you know, that's just language I don't tolerate anymore because it's not true. So here's what I am going to think. Why did I eat? What triggered it? What could I do better next time? You remove yourself from the drama and the trauma you put yourself through, because that's all your own doing. That ain't nobody else's doing. I don't care if somebody slapped you in your face and you ate a donut because of it. Them slapping you in the face has nothing to do with why you chose to eat the donut. All it has to, what happened is that you decided that wasn't fair, or they shouldn't have done it or whatever. I can't handle it underneath that. It's like, what if somebody just slaps you in the face and you think, well, you're an asshole? Like, that should be the response. It shouldn't be, this shouldn't be happening or whatever. It's like, look, it already did happen. We can all agree that slapping people in the face means somebody's an asshole. Let's go there first. Because you don't need a donut to make it better. Hold them responsible. Don't like slap yourself in the face by eating the donut. If you do lose weight focusing on worry and misery, you risk gaining your weight back. Let's see. Any advice for staying awake in the afternoon without snacking my way through work? Get up, stand up. Your body creates just as much energy from standing as it does putting food in your mouth while you're sitting. A lot of times people don't even realize this. They'll get up to go get a snack, and the getting up part was the part that really gave them the energy. The snack was so temporary, and it shoots them back down. It's like, if you're not hungry and you need energy, like, don't eat for energy, because eating doesn't give you the energy. If you're not hungry, overeating gives you fat, which weighs you down, and it slows you down. So making the connection in your brain that, like, you need to quit telling yourself that when I need to stay awake in the afternoon, I need to get up and move around. I need to meditate. I need to do something. Drink some water. But food doesn't give me energy. Food is not a solve for this problem. And that's what I would do, Julie. People are giving me period advice. I used to have the Mirena, Rebecca. You know what I need to be doing? I need to like get off my lazy ass and schedule an appointment with a gyno to have an ablation is what I need to be doing. I know this sounds crazy. We've lived here damn near 3 years. And I moved to the other side of town, and I finally had found a gyno. She moved to the other side of town. I'm just like, oh, so now I got to find another doctor. It's just like, it's laziness. And then, in fact, this morning when I was doing my own TDL, I'm writing about my painful ass period. And I wrote in there and just was like, get off your ass and find someone. That was like literally the sentence. Get off your ass and find someone. How many of these painful periods are you going to go through before you get off your ass and find someone? You know, it's a great day when your TDL in the morning is all about your cramps. Where do I start overcoming my fear of people and what they think? I'm in counseling, but I want to be happy around people. Sorry for your chainsaw period. That's a good way to put it, Katie. It feels like a chainsaw. Where do you start overcoming your fear of people and what they think? I think one of the things is to just realize you have no control over what other people think. A lot of fear is coming from an idea that, and I think this comes up with people pleasers a lot, is that if you act certain ways or do certain things or just stay home, whatever it may be, that somehow you can control other people's opinions. You are not going to be able to control other people's opinions. To ask yourself, like, you know, what are the common things you're worried that people will think of you? And then make a list of those things. We do a lot of this work in the tribe. This is one of those I would just absolutely need a lot more detail on. You want to be happy around people. I think I'll tell you what, one of the first things you could do is decide you're trying to go from fear around people to happy. And that is a huge stinking leap. I would figure out what you would like to feel in the interim. Like, what is the next level? Rather than feeling scared, what is the next level up? Maybe for you, it's going to feel more willing to be around other people, to be more uncomfortable around other people. Rather than being scared, can you go to just being willing to be, I'm going to go in and I am going to choose to be uncomfortable rather than afraid. Those are some of the things that I would start with. A lot of times what we do is we work on, when it comes to feelings and stuff, a lot of people always have a big disconnect. They're like, well, you know, I want to be the opposite of what I'm feeling. And there's such a wide, like, gap there. And people just aren't ready to go all the way to the alternate end of the spectrum. A lot of people really have to start with, if I'm scared now, what I need to do is practice being uncomfortable around people. Like being okay with, like, all right, they're going to think things. They may think things about my weight. They may whatever. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, rather than being afraid of that, I'm going to start being like, it's okay if people don't like me. It's okay if people judge me. And I'm willing to be uncomfortable with that so I can practice the worst case scenario of just letting people be who they are, is people just who they are. And then I decide how I'm going to be around that. So a lot of it's just kind of leveling up those kind of things. My doctor told me I need to drink a gallon of water for every 100 pounds I weigh. That's a lot of water. I'm all for drinking more water and staying hydrated, but what the fuck? Is there an upper limit to water intake? There is. I don't know if you need that much, but I mean, I drink a gallon a day and I'm like 154. So I don't know. Here's my rule on water. You drink until your urine is pale yellow. If your urine's pale yellow, Beth, you're getting plenty. I wouldn't, you know, maybe you start just where you're at, add a little more, but I'm going to tell you, not all doctors are up on all of the nutrition standards and things like that. Not that I'm not saying that I am too. I'm just saying that I know that you can go with pale yellow, and that is safe, and that is a good water intake. Everybody's like, I'm so glad you didn't cancel today. How do you make yourself feel confident? Is there little things you say and tell yourself? So there's two ways to feel, who is it, Santana? There's two ways that you can learn to feel more confident, guys. Well, and one of them is going to be confident. When you're in worry, confidence cannot happen. Confident people do not worry. Confident people solve problems. Confident people trust that they'll figure it out. They don't even have to know what's going to happen. People who worry are in fear that they don't know what's going to happen. Confident people don't know what's going to happen and decide, I will deal with it in the best way I know how. So, two ways to increase confidence. One is going to be notice all the things that you say to yourself that lead to a lack of confidence. Making a list of those things and deciding that they are the things that you think that just aren't true and that you no longer tolerate. I say this all the time, but you guys have got to start coming up with some hard lines for yourself on what you're willing to believe anymore and what you tolerate yourself thinking and saying about yourself. So when those thoughts come up, you immediately remind yourself, we don't think that anymore. We don't even believe that anymore. It's such a shock to me that I even would go there because that's not me anymore. And you will not feel confident in the beginning. It will feel very abnormal and fake. But guess what? Nothing becomes real until you repeat it often enough. So the first part of feeling confident is realizing all the things that you're doing to lessen your confidence and start weeding those things out. The next thing is thinking about feeling confident and what are the ways, like when you're confident, what things do you do? What would you be doing if you were confident? And then you just start doing that shit anyway. The best way to build confidence is to do some scary shit even when you're not confident, and that builds it. It starts giving you proof you can do things. So many of you aren't practicing confident action for fear you won't be able to do it. It's like the worst that happens is you don't do it right or it doesn't work out. So what? Figure out another way or decide, well, that didn't work. I'm okay with that not happening. Whatever it is. But you come at it from a place of that confidence. The other thing is also to think about, like, if I was confident, here are the things I would be doing. And in order to do those things, I'm going to need to think this. All of that helps strengthen confidence and build confidence. Read the obesity code on day 3 of no snacks, proving that I can do it. What are your feelings on no snacks, Karen? I don't snack myself, Karen. I gave up snacking a long time ago. It was like about 2 or 3 years ago. I used to snack all the time. Like I used to be like I used to snack all the time. I planned to have snacks and stuff. I don't have any problems with snacks. I don't have any problems without snacks. I just realized that for me, that when I dropped snacking, I never increased hunger. I was often snacking because I was tired, because I was bored, because I wanted to transition from one project to another. I wanted a break. I had all kinds of reasons to snack, and hunger wasn't one of them. So I think it's fine. I think you just have to play with it and see what works for you. Cassandra. Sorry, I'm just thinking about my worries. Very few of my worries are anything I can control. Then you need to just stop worrying about it. If you can't control it anyway, then why even worry about it? There's definitely not going to put any control there. I want you guys to see that when you're worrying about things you can't control, all that you're doing is creating misery for yourself. Find the things in life you can control and just build on that shit while this other thing plays out. It was like, there was, I guess it was 3 years ago or 4, can't remember, 3 years ago. We were moving Logan to a new school. So he was at one school, and then we wanted to put him in a private school that specializes in kids that are have all kinds of learning disabilities, from autism to ADHD, all kinds of stuff. And it's a very hard school to get into. So it's real private, real small, that kind of thing, and super expensive. So I worried. And I worried we wouldn't be able to afford it. Then he went for a shadow. I worried he wouldn't get in. All these kinds of things were happening. And then I worried that we were going to have to move and we were going to have to do all this other stuff. And I finally just decided I had to quit worrying about it because I was making myself sick. It was every single day worked up. I was doing more worry than I was working. I was crying all the time. Like, it was really spinning me out of control. And Chris just looked at me, and this was my husband. This was like, I just barely even had gotten into a lot of the thought work that I do now. And he just said, baby, we'll figure it out on the money. We can't control if he gets in or not. They're going to let us know. So until we know something, there's no sense in even thinking about it. You sitting around and working yourself up, the only thing it's producing is me coming home every day and you in a ball of tears. He was like, only you can make yourself feel better in this moment. So quit worrying about this. That's going to help you. And it really was one of the times when I started honestly seeing that so much of what I thought about was not a problem. I was creating problems, but so much of what I was thinking about was not a problem. He was either going to get in or he wasn't. And if he didn't, then we would figure out our next steps. Like, there was just so much, and I moved on. But it's one of those times when I look back in my life when I really realized, that's a time I could have gone through that very differently. Same ass outcomes. He would have still gotten in the school. We would have still moved. All the things that I worried about, everything would have played out the same. The only difference is that for 2 months, I could have had a much better 2 months for myself. I didn't have to cry every day over it. And that's what a lot of us don't realize, is that, we're spending our life worrying about things that we really have no control over. And so then we're eating and we're losing our control in things we absolutely have control over. You have control over your mouth. You have control over ultimately what you put into it. But when you take your eye and you focus it in on things that you have no control over, guess what? It feels like you also have no control over food. You create this total sense that life is out of control. And the only way to get control is to start practicing having some. So if the first step, even before some of you end up giving up overeating, is practicing controlling just where your mind goes during the day. I promise you practice learning how to control where your brain goes and how you decide to think about your life, it will translate into your ability to control what you put in your mouth too. And then you lose all kinds of weight, both mentally and physically. Let's see. Mandy, shoot, it's taken me almost 3 years to lose 50 pounds, but it's for the last time thanks to B&B. Hey, Hellcat, I'll see you on Friday. We need to get together for a minute. Rather than me emailing you, I think we should just talk while you're in Nashville so we can talk about that thing you emailed me about. Let's see. God, a lot of y'all have lost so much weight. Started in March and is down 18 pounds. It's Lewis Howes was the guy I was talking about. It's Lewis. Howes. The podcast was how to be an emotional ninja. No, a Jedi of emotions or something. It was one of his recent podcasts. I think it came out this week. The guy that's on there was named Chris Lee. I don't think it had an episode number, but if you take a look, it was really good. Guys, for my tribe members, everything I teach you, like that was like a lot of what I teach you in terms of controlling your mind. So it was said in a really neat way. So I always love listening to other people say things the way when I teach you concepts, I love to hear somebody else teach the same concepts. I think it's a really good, I think it's very helpful. Do we focus on one TDL or model a week? PMP tribe member. One TDL and model a day. I want you doing one every day if you can. That would be what I would advise. Now, Linda, if you can't commit to one every day, I want you to figure out, I know I could do 3 this week, and I want you to do 3. Whatever you do, I want you to practice just doing what you say you will do. So, but for all of my girls that are in week 2 of No BS right now, a lot of my newer tribe members, you want to do a TDL each day, and you want to do models for those. Cleaning out the closet, hey Sonia, and thought, I need to keep this because I may gain my weight back. So how do I reframe that thought or replace it? You just say, I need to keep I need to keep this because I may gain my weight back. Well, that's not true. And then you throw it in the trash or you donate it. You just add to the bottom, you just add to the end of it, Sonia. You don't even have to replace the whole thought. You just need to put at the bottom of it, well, that's not true. It's crazy I would even think that. Whether you believe it or not right now, you just have to tell yourself, that's crazy. That's not believable. That's not, I'm not even going to act like a person who would like gain their weight back. A person who's worried about gaining their weight back keeps these damn clothes. That's not me. And I will start acting like a person who's losing their weight for the last time by donating these clothes. Even if you're like, and here's the thing, Sonia, you may still be a little scared and stuff because it's uncomfortable. You're trying to think something new and you're trying to believe something new. But then you act as if anyway. And you keep following through on the thoughts you're telling yourself before you even believe it. Because then what happens is then you're acting like the person you want to be. And you're acting from a place of thought and feeling. And eventually you just become that person. One day you just wake up and you're like, damn. Here I am, that person who just gets rid of clothes without even second thought. I remember that day that I was asking Corinne on the live about it. Like, that's what happens. I do the same things. Like, there's certain things that, like, I have worked on the last couple of years to believe about myself in different things. And it always cracks me up when I'm like, damn, I'm like the kind of person who just believes in themselves now. Like, it's amazing. But it was because, like, maybe 1,000 to 1,500 times I had to tell myself that I was this person before I really believed it. I was just talking to some of the newbies yesterday about, we always talk about leaving food behind, right? And I have been practicing leaving food behind, I think since I started losing weight 13 years ago, right? And I was telling them, like, still to this day, this weekend we went to Vegas and I had my French fries. And I remember like clearly looking at Chris giggling going, did you see this? I didn't even eat all these French fries. Like somebody should have gotten a sash and a crown out and put it on me in that moment because I'm still just like giddy. Like I'm like literally the person who can leave French fries behind now. Like how did this happen? Only because like 1,000 times I left French fries behind, even if it was one, very uncomfortably, very deliberately, wanting to eat the last French fry, it not being anything but natural, but doing it anyway because I wanted one day to be the kind of person who could leave food behind without it being drama. Now I get to be the kind of person who leaves food behind and gets to throw a party because of it. Like I love that I get excited about stuff like that. Because I used to be the girl that was like all sad that she couldn't leave food behind. So I had to start acting as if, even when it sucked ass. And guys, like when it comes to leaving food behind, I know this is getting off on a big tangent here, but Because a lot of you worry that you're never going to be able to get your 2. You're worried you're never going to get over your waste food issues. Let me just say, when you first start doing it, I don't care if it's 1 bite. Start small. Because here's the thing. There is just as much drama for me leaving 1 bite behind as there is leaving like half of it behind. So if you need to start, it's like, all right, I'll like that 1 bite gins up enough drama in me to practice leaving food behind without having to leave a whole half a plate. So just start small. Start where you are. I think it's really important. I have most trouble eating when hungry and stopping when full at work. I'm a nurse and have very little control over the time I am able to eat or the opportunities I have. I know you've talked about night shift before, but what about just regular folks with little schedule control? Well, let me put it to you this way. You're saying that because you don't have control over your schedule, that you have to eat until you're full. That's not true. You don't have control over when you eat. So when you start eating, now this is the thing, this is one of the nuances I tell like all my teachers and my nurses and my shift workers and people who have like regular, like my restaurant workers who have very regular scheduled breaks and stuff like that. If you know you're going to only be like, and I do this, I don't even work a shift. But if I know, like today is my day where if I don't eat before 10, then I'm not going to eat till 3. So I'm not going to be hungry before 10. But I also don't like to do all of my coaching on an empty stomach. And I don't like to do my meetings on an empty stomach because I just don't think as clearly. So I'm going to eat before 10. But it's probably going to take a little less because I'm not going to be hungry. So I just eat until I'm satisfied. I may start not all that hungry, but that doesn't have anything to do with needing to eat all my plate or eat until I'm full. So that's what I usually tell people is that if you, and don't tell yourself that I have no control over my schedule. Just tell yourself, I have a schedule and I'm going to figure out how to make this work for me. Like telling yourself you have no control over it puts you in like trying to make decisions about food feeling helpless. And that's really the key. It's how are you going to think about your schedule that allows you to feel in control of your food and not helpless because of it. So I hope that makes sense, Joy. Amy, what suggestions do you have for feeling it, then it's over? Like acknowledging the worry, then just deciding not to worry. My not worrying seems to make me feel guilty. For example, kids going to college. If I don't worry, I'm not a good mom. Well, Amy, I want you to tell me how it makes you a better mom. Boom. Like you're not showing up as a better mother because you worried about them. You just worried. You didn't improve their life. You didn't change their college. You didn't connect more. When you're worried, guys, you're being really selfish. You feel like shit when you're worrying. Feeling guilty? I mean, seriously, you just need to question like, all right, so all this worrying is adding what to their college experience? How am I filling their love tank? How am I being a better mom worrying? You're not. You have to be honest about that. It's just a lie you're telling yourself. When you feel guilty, just say. Like, you know what good mothers do? They love their kids. Like if we're going to look up the definition of a good mom, it doesn't say she worries her ass off. No, she loves her ass off. Like rather than saying, how can I worry about my kids' college today? It's like, how can I love my kids today? Maybe I send them a text message. Maybe I do some stuff that actually shows them how much I love them and what a good mom I am. Sitting around being caught up in my own damn head about shit I can't control, that does not like show love. That doesn't make anyone a good mom. It might make you feel like a martyr. I think us moms have to really gut check ourselves. We are the worst when it comes to being martyr syndrome. Well, I'm just sitting here worried about my kids. That makes me a good mom. Like, no, it doesn't make you a good mom. Show up in your life. That makes you a good mom. You know what a good mom does? She makes sure that her emotional bank is stocked and teaches her kids how to like be a confident woman, how to handle her business, how to show up for her emotions, how to finish shit that she starts. Like, that's what good moms do. Like, define what a good mother really... Amy, this is great homework for you. You need to like have your working definition of good mom. It right now is a worrier and whatever else is over there. And then you need to come up with, all right, here's the definition that I need to start believing. Like, here's what good moms really do. And I want to start living up to this. This is the good mom definition. And this is how I start showing up in my life. Good moms are not sitting around beating themselves up because they're not in useless worry. Good moms are doing things, not sitting around doing nothing. And worry, guys, you're doing nothing. Just tell yourself every time you start trying to feel guilty about it, just say, that's not what a good mom does. Good mothers don't sit around wringing their hands doing nothing. They're like watching your kid being trapped under a car and you're like, well, let me just sit back and worry because I'm a good mom. No, a good mom wouldn't sit there and worry about that. A good mom would go out and do some shit. I applied for a new job and have an interview today. I've been worrying so much that if I actually get the job, I will have to make a decision. Although in my heart, I know I just want to stay at my current site. I'm a teacher and it's just another school, but a huge change. Should I still do the interview? It feels like I'm just wasting the time of a bunch of people. If you know you're gonna, here's what I would do. This is my thing. If you've already committed to doing the interview and stuff, I would just go, and you know that, like, you don't have to take it. You can always just turn it down. But go in thinking, you know what, I told them I'd be there, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna practice commitment, I'm gonna practice following through, I'm gonna practice turning down something. I'm gonna practice interviewing. Who knows, maybe in 2 years I might I'll be eligible for a big promotion or something. So this will give me practice on how to interview. Like, think about it in ways like that. But if it was me, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I have a hard time with saying I'm going to do something, even if I'm going to turn someone down and just not showing up for it. That's me personally. So if I'm going to go, like if I'm going to say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to find value in it in somehow. So thinking about the ways you can do it. Now, if you know you're a hard no and you're really solid and it's not because you're afraid or anything like that, as long as you're just like, you know what, I really love this job here, blah, blah, blah. You could call them and just say like, I don't want to waste y'all's time. I've decided that I really love where I'm at and whatever. That's fine too. I don't think there's a wrong choice here. Just make sure that you're making the choice from a good place. And making sure that you also learn your lesson that all this worry you did has not changed anything that's going to happen. You're either going to go to the interview or you're not. You're either going to get the job or you are not. All of your worry has nothing to do with that. And learning the lesson this time of this has really taught me how I don't want to spin out in these kinds of thoughts. Do you have any recommendations for how to handle an urge to eat something not on your plan? Yeah, Tiffany. And Tiffany, what I would do is I would go to the website. I go to pnptribe.com, use the search and type in urge. I have coached this a ton and we've done little videos on urges. So we have a huge library of information just on urges alone. But one of the best things that I tell people to do when it comes to like when an urge comes is you don't want to resist it. They're very normal. Telling yourself you don't want to feel it, you can't handle it. A lot of us, what happens is like we'll have an urge to eat something and that part isn't the worst part. it's all the things that we tell ourselves about having that urge to eat something. Like, this is too hard. I wish I was the kind of girl that didn't have to think about these things, blah, 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 blah. Watching yourself have those thoughts and just say, like, it is very normal at this stage of my weight loss to crave things and to want things. But what is it right now that I really am having a craving for? And do some work around it being emotional in the beginning. Rather than thinking that, like, just labeling, well, here's the foods. Say, like, no, like, why am I wanting to eat right now? And why do I want this specific thing? And letting yourself kind of see, like, what it is that you're really wanting. And then being okay with sitting there going, okay, well, if that's what I really want, then right now what I want to choose to think is that food will not supply it. Even if I really think that eating calms me down or gives me energy, whatever, it really doesn't. Because in the long run, I wouldn't want to give that up if it was really solving my problems. Because when we give into the urge, we may be thinking we're solving one thing. All we're really doing is avoiding feeling one thing and then increasing our problems with our weight, our problems with our commitment, our problems with all this other stuff. So a lot of times when it comes to urges, it's just thinking through it that way lessens the resistance and the emergency or urgency that you feel around the food. On a side note, I'm starting to introduce weights to my workout routine. Any suggestions for how often, how long are good beginner exercises? Christy, you can go to bodybuilding.com and look up beginner strength training for women. They have really good routines and stuff on there. I always say that if you're just starting to introduce weights, there's a couple things I recommend. One is if you go to a gym, then I would go and talk to the trainers and just say, hey, look, I'm not interested in the package, but here's what I am interested in. 3 sessions with a trainer who's going to teach me how to do a full body workout. And I don't mean no kick-ass workout. I'm talking about I want to learn how to lift and I want to know good form and I want one routine that I'm going to be able to do on my own. And you be really clear about what you want. They will try to talk you into other stuff. And you just say, I get that you know better than I do, but I know what I'm willing to do. And I want this. You're the customer. There's no trainer out there making so much money that they're going to turn your money down. Trust me. So that's one of the things I would do. If you are not in a gym and you're at a home situation, one of the other things I recommend is going to YouTube and looking up Fitness Blender. They have some really good full body strength routines that are free. If you want a paid version, Beachbody I think has some of the best strength training videos out there. One of my favorites is Shailene Extreme. It's old school, but it's really good. Then there's one, the Hammer and Chisel from a couple years ago was really good, I think. Those are a couple of options. The reason why I always recommend, and P90X, the 30-minute version. I forget what it was called, but something like that. It was actually good too. The reason why I like their programs is because they are programs. Like they have calendars and stuff. So I would probably maybe even start with that. I like that they have a calendar. I also like that the instructors usually give really good form instruction. I think one of the keys to working out, and especially when it comes to lifting weights in the beginning, is learning good form first and foremost. It keeps you injury free. Most people are starting out with weights once or twice a week. Full body will be plenty for like 4 or 5 weeks. Then after that, you can move to 2 to 3 full bodies a week. And then you can start doing like upper and lower and like continuing to split it out after that. But just that first foundational is just a lot of just getting started with some weights or even body weight to learn mobility and stuff in the beginning. Making my oatmeal today, good, better, best. Do you consider honey a better or best? I'm removing brown sugar from my oatmeal, but I'm thinking about leveling up my oatmeal. I think it's it's better or best, either one. I think the thing is you're just leveling up. I would just practice the concept of leveling up at that point. If you, probably the ultimate best would be to get to where you have no sweetener and you're using like fruit to sweeten it. That might be the best, but I don't think there's anything wrong with honey either. Can you talk about changing a habit? Busy day at work, walk 1.5 miles at lunch, then get home at 4:30 and veg out. Should I plan things on my 24-hour plan to do during this time? I don't eat until 6. I would put things on your 24-hour plan, or just at 4:30, you're just going to veg out. You just don't eat with it. You just if you have a busy day at work and you're just like from 4:30 to 6, I give myself a damn break, and that's on your 24-hour plan. And that break doesn't include food. I think that would be fine. And I guess that's what you mean by changing a habit. But I think part of changing habits is clearly seeing what habits you have. Do you like them? And if you don't, what are the small things that you can do to start changing that habit? A really good book, somebody mentioned it earlier, is for weight loss in particular, is Mini Habits. I forget the guy's name, but it's just called Mini Habits for Weight Loss. It's really good. It talks about the small things. The biggest thing about habits, guys, is starting with changing them really small, and you only pick one. A lot of you want to improve your life, and so you pick 10 things you're going to do this month. It's pick one, get good at it. Get to the point to where when you say you're going to commit to do something, that's just what you do. So you can start learning how to practice not being dramatic and canceling. Because when you are going to break any habit or do something new, after about 3 or 4 days, you're not going to want to do it. Your brain's going to be like, I've had enough of that bullshit. The excitement's over. Now it's time for me to kick in gear and tell you all the reasons why we're not doing this anymore. So what I would do is I would just pick one thing and just be like, everything else is on maintenance right now. Doesn't mean you have to eat like a donkey or anything like that. But if you're gonna start with exercise, you start with exercise, and you don't start like a bandit. You start like what you know you will do, and you form the habit. You form the skill of pushing through when you don't want to do it, and it's a lot easier to do it when you don't have 10 other things you're also trying to push through the skill of doing it anyway. That's why it's really important that you pick one thing. And if you pick something, a lot of you are in the tribe. So for my girls that have been here for a long time, this month we're all going to be studying self-love together, right? We're doing the whole concept of how you love yourself, how you talk to yourself, how you care for yourself, and your self-esteem. So, I've pulled together the program for it. If you are someone who typically peters out in my programs and does 2 whole weeks, then figure out, I'm willing to show up all the way to the end by doing these things this time. It may not be the way I wrote it. Maybe your definition is, I watch 2 of the videos. I do half the TDL's Corinne says. Whatever it is that I've put in there, you come up with your working definition of what success will look like by the end of this. Because you learned from last month's, well, I only did the first week and a half. Well, this month, if you want to finish it, rather than just saying, I'm going to finish it this time, learn from what you didn't do last month and figure out, all right, this month, how can I level up a little bit? How can I make the definition of succeeding in this easy to achieve? I got a question. I believe you had a recommendation for magnesium, and I guess I'm having a brain fart. It's called Natural Calm. You can order it in my kit store. It's kit.com/fitandfat, PHITNPHAT. Do any of you ever eat because you're worried not others will notice you're not eating in a group setting? Suggestions to address that. You just don't worry about what they think. This is where I just tell people all the time, it's so you're going to overeat worrying about somebody else's opinion. You're placing their opinion of you above your own opinion of yourself. This is where you have to be I am willing to let people think I'm a weirdo because I'm not hungry right now. And when they notice, I'm just going to tell them, Yeah, I'm a weirdo. I happen to not be hungry right now. And I'm one of those people that when I'm not hungry, I don't eat. And you just roll with it. And just tell, if people are food pushing, like when people are pushing food on me, I'm like, yeah, it does look delicious. I'm just not hungry. I like my ass to look delicious more than I like to taste deliciousness. Now, some of you are not as brazen as I am. But people are going to, I'm just going to tell you, Meredith, people will notice you're not eating. That is the culture we are in. But you need to notice when you're eating because you want to manipulate someone's opinion of you more than you want to raise the opinion you have of yourself. And that's one of the things I would look at. When working on worries, you can do something. How do you get past knowing you can do something about it but not sure what to do? That's where you go into the brainstorming, Anna. So when you're thinking about it, you need to think about, what can I do about this? Most of you, what you do is you get stalled out and thinking, I'm so worried about this. I don't know what to do. Don't allow yourself to say, I don't know. You just have to say, I'm going to sit here and think about it until I can come up with one thing I know I can do. All I need is one thing. That will get you out of worry. It will also get you out of overwhelm about it. And then you do that. It's really a matter, and it's a lot of you think that you need to solve the entire problem. It's like, no, you don't need to solve the entire problem. It's just like if you're worried you're going to lose 100 pounds, you don't need to come up with everything you're going to need to do to lose 100 pounds. You need to come up with what you're going to need to do today. Same thing with all of our worries, guys, whether it's finances, kids on drugs, parents with dementia, my kid with autism, whatever it is. I don't need to think about all of that. You know what I need to think about? What is one thing I could do today to take a step forward instead of my worry sending me backward? Am I supposed to be leaving bites all the time, even when I'm still hungry? No. Or is it just an exercise to help people who mentally have trouble with clean plate mentality? Usually when we have people leave bites behind, it's for a couple of reasons. One is because they always clean their plate no matter what. They're not really paying attention to if they're satisfied. They're just cleaning the plate. Then I would make sure that, the other reason why we have people practice leaving bites behind is because often when you leave like 2 to 3 bites behind, you realize that you didn't need them to begin with. And it starts allowing you to question when you really are hitting satisfied or not. It's just a way for us to easily practice the clean plate syndrome, identifying when you actually are satisfied and that kind of stuff. I'm a PNP groupie, but can you explain the TDL? I'm doing my 24-hour plan daily. Rachel, that's something that I teach inside my tribe. So it's for all of the girls that are actually newbies who joined, where they're all doing that lesson 2 or unit 2 this week of their program. But you can go to my podcast. We did a podcast where we talked the light version of what a thought download is. So if you'll go to Losing 100 Pounds with Fit and Fat, you can listen to that episode. If you ask, I don't know if you're in our, we have a free Facebook group for the people who just listen to the podcast. You could ask, and I'm sure someone who listens to the podcast can give you the exact episode number. But that group runs over there independently of all of us. I have a couple of mentors that help you guys out, but if you just go in there, you can always ask about that. If you're not a member of that group, guys, if you are one of my tribe members, you do not need to be a member of that group. It is everything you need is over in the tribe, and I actually advise you guys not to be a member over there, mainly because then you've got you've got Facebook groups that I want your attention where I'm at, which is with you guys in the tribes. So if you're a newbie or you're an old, the tribe members that have been around for a long time, a tribal elder, I want you in there where I am. If you're a groupie, though, it's nice because then you are there with the people who listen to the podcast, and you guys get to talk about the podcast and you get some community support, but you guys kind of run it on your own. But if you do want to be a member of that, you go to facebook.com/groups/PNP groupie, GROUPIE. I think there's might be another slash there. I'm not 100% sure. But if you look it up, and if you look up losing 100 pounds with fit and fat groupies or something, you should be able to find it. You can request access. We don't just let anyone in either. Let's see. A lot of people are winning today. Let's see. I looked at my husband the other day and told him he had a hot effing wife. He looked at me like I had lost my mind. I do that to Chris all the time. I'll look at Chris and I'll be like, "You are so lucky to be married to me." Like, do you just every night, like, I think I said this to him last night. It's like, do you just every night go to bed just sitting there thinking, I'm the luckiest man ever? And he just laughed at me. And that was after I'd made him do a bunch of shit for me. What tools do you have to pull yourself out of the lies depression, anxiety tell you? I'm great until these times, and then the stinking thinking overpowers me. TDL and models. That's the best tool that ever was. It clearly shows you what is unintentional thinking and how you do want to start thinking. Like, that is the best tool ever. Like, writing down your thoughts and identifying the ones that are not helpful is the best tool that ever was invented. Karen, I can't remember if you're one of mine or not, but if you're doing models, you have the best tool that you ever need. Seriously, it has saved my depressed ass so many times. Is there an average time we fail before we truly feel confident? Probably like 2,000, 3,000 times. Not joking. I don't know if there's an average time, but I tell you the average time, there's about 3 quits in all of you. Or 3 fails before you quit. Now that's the average that I think most of you need to be highly aware of, is that you think you're going to get it after about 3 or 4 times. And I always tell people, it's like, no, you're probably going to, like, I always tell people, like, when it comes to the hunger scale, you need to be willing to overeat 200 to 300 times before you really get it. And then it starts changing, but then you've failed at it so many times and readjusted that you don't care that it changes. You just shift with it. And then each time you overeat, you're like, oh, my hunger scale must have changed, rather than, I'm so broken, I can't lose weight. You start learning how to shift your brain. You start learning that making the mistakes and the failure, you don't go to you being a problem. I talked about this with the tribe the other day, guys, when I did my, I did a Facebook Live this week. You all should have it in your private member podcast on why quitting overeating at 8 p.m. is so hard and how to do it. You guys need to really remember that it's process problems, not people problems. So go listen to that. If you're one of my members, go listen to that. It was really good, guys. It was uploaded on Monday or Tuesday. But that's the thing, is that you have to keep making mistakes until you learn how to think that the mistakes are what you need in order to do it better next time, versus making mistakes and thinking, I must be a problem. There's something wrong with me. Like, you need to make enough mistakes to, like, practice getting out of that mindset first. And the only way to do that is to make mistakes. So many of you fight mistakes like tooth and nail. And it's like, oh my God, why? You're never going to lose weight until you're willing to make mistakes. If you're not willing to make mistakes, no, you're not going to. So like half of us are on our period. Let's see. So many of you are warriors. Can you remind us when the tribe opens up? I think it's in the fall. Yeah, I think it's September the 13th is the actual date. In fact, yesterday I was setting the dates on my calendar and plugging it in, but I want to say it's September the 13th. It's whatever that Wednesday of that week is, that's the actual day. We'll open on Wednesday night. So I always run the free stuff, the little, like y'all do the little challenge. And then anybody that wants to join, I'll open up on Wednesday in the evening. Can you share where you found the soundboards? I need to shop for pretty ones. Oh my gosh, I don't know where I got that one. My husband ordered it for me. I'll ask him. Trudy, if you'll email support@pnptribe.com and just say, I'm looking for the soundboards Corinne has in her live, and she said Chris knows where he got it. And then we'll assign that to Chris. He'll email you back. Let's see. Everybody who's asking what a thought download is probably someone who is new. If you'll go to the podcast and listen to the episode on thought downloads, it will help. Somebody's in the PNP tribe. All right. I got rid of all my fat clothes when I lost 40 pounds 2 years ago. Now I'm thinking that I wish I had them. Probably not the right kind of thought. No, it's not the right kind of thought. You need to just be like, really not focused on you wish you had those fat clothes. You regret, like living in regret that you threw away your fat clothes. Tell me how that is going to help you lose your weight. I want you to make the connection there. Me regretting I threw away my fat clothes is going to help me lose weight today by, said no one ever. Your thought needs to be, it doesn't matter that I gave them away. You know what matters? What the F am I putting in my mouth today? I'll tell you what matters. That damn 24-hour plan. You know what matters most? How I'm going to finish this week like a boss. That's all that matters. That's what you need to get into your brain. Like sitting around thinking about you wish you'd kept fat clothes. No, ma'am. We're not doing it. And that's what you need to tell yourself. Be like, no, ma'am. We don't think about that. There's no way in hell that that thought will make this 24-hour plan easier to execute. Angie, PNP Tribe newbie. I was doing well with my 24-hour plan last night. Around 8 o'clock, my husband says to me and the kids, who wants to go out for ice cream? I told him I shouldn't. But before I knew it, I was in the car with him and the kids ordering a big old chocolate cone. I can't even imagine going to the Dairy Queen and not ordering ice cream and just sitting there watching them eat it. I know that's what I should have done. I should have went along with them and enjoyed their company, but not ordered the ice cream. Yeah. So now you need to, like, here's the thing. You just told yourself something that is such a cock blocker. I can't even imagine not going to Dairy Queen and not ordering an ice cream cone and just sitting there. You need to actually say, like, I'm going to need to start imagining going to Dairy Queen and enjoying their company without ice cream. That's all that's got to happen here, Angie. You just learned a big lesson that you're telling yourself you can't imagine it. Let me tell you, if you can't imagine yourself doing it, then you also can't execute doing it. We all need to be able to enjoy our family without a fucking ding dong in our mouth. That needs to happen pronto for every single person listening to this. We've got to start figuring out how to actually be around other people and enjoy their asses without it meaning that we have to eat to do so. They are more valuable than that. Your family is way more valuable than that chocolate ice cream cone. So I want you to like start telling yourself, I need to learn my lesson from this one. I need to start imagining what it's going to feel like the first few times. I'm going to go and I'm not going to order ice cream and I'm going to not enjoy it. That's the first step. The first step to actually enjoying their company is to not enjoy sitting there without your ice cream. Like you're going to be like, I really, every other time I've ordered that ice cream, today's not the day. I'm going to focus on my family right now. But I will tell you, because you haven't done it, your brain is going to keep going, oh, aren't we supposed to be ordering ice cream? Oh, that looks good. Oh, you're missing out. It's going to say those things. And your job is to be like, it's okay. I knew that it would be uncomfortable. And I'm learning how to do uncomfortable one ice cream cone at a time. Because this will be the next thought. Like when you don't give into it, be like, are we just never going to be able to eat ice cream with our family again? That'll be the next thing your brain goes to. And it'll be like, no, slow your roll. It doesn't mean we can't ever have ice cream again. You know what we're doing? We're focusing on this time. We're choosing not to. I don't need to worry about all the other 1,000 ice cream cones in my future. You know what I need to think about? I'll be thinking about this one. I'm thinking about sitting here and learning how to enjoy my family. What I'm doing is I'm not restricting myself of ice cream. I'm restricting myself on thinking that the only way to enjoy myself is to have ice cream. Let's see. Still working on hunger scale. Seems like I can go from 2 to -4 to 5 within minutes. Sometimes wondering if this is a common problem or maybe I just don't have the scale down yet. I've started carrying a snack with me because I don't feel very good when this happens. Wendy, I bet you that it has a lot to do with some of the things that you're eating. If you eat a lot of processed foods, guys, yeah, your hunger scale is going to vary a lot faster than if you're eating more whole foods. That doesn't mean you have to automatically switch tomorrow. I just want you to have some rhyme or reason as to why that's happening. The longer you go and the more you use the good, better, best and you level up over time, the more you'll see your hunger scale stabilizing and moving slower. And you're still getting used to it. Unless you've been doing it for 6 months, you're still getting used to it, okay? So just knowing that, I think having the snack there is great because you're putting it on your plan. I don't want you feeling crappy physically. So I want you like monitoring that, which is fine. But I also want you to know that if you'll add more healthy fats while you're doing all this, it will help a lot. My outfit matches my painting. That's hilarious. I didn't even know. I had to look back there. I was like, what? What are your thoughts on clutter and weight loss? I think they go hand in hand. If you guys want to, there is one of my friends who's also another life coach. She specializes in organization and that kind of stuff. Her name is Shira Gill, Shira Gill, Gill. She has a freemium, basically. It's like where you can put your email address in and she'll send you, she's got beautiful stuff, by the way. She'll teach you how to organize your sock drawer. And then that leads to organizing other areas of your life. I think she has like an online program and stuff too, but she's really good. I would go, just look her up on Google. I would like look that up and I would sign up for her sock program. Just so that it's free. It'll teach you like the basics of mindset when it comes to organizing. When your house is more organized, when your life is more organized, your weight loss becomes more organized. And conversely, as you lose weight, you want to like clean your house and cleanse it. So I do think they tie together. She also was the guest on my mentor's podcast, which is the Life Coach School.com. If you go there, she did a 2-part series and it was so good. So if you want to just kind of listen to that concept, Antonia, that'd be a great place to start. So it's the lifecoachschool.com. It's episode, I don't know the episode numbers. It's somewhere in the 200s, but it's the last 2 weeks that came out. But they're with Shira Gill, Shira Gill, Gill. How often do you recommend weighing? I have my clients weigh in once a week. I don't mind if people weigh in daily. I don't focus so much on how often you weigh in. I focus more on what you make the number mean. What I want people to do is to be able to get on the scale and have one thought only. This is going to set me up today to make better choices. Whether you maintain, lose, or gain. That's all. I don't want anybody getting on there and being like, woohoo, or going, ugh. I want people to really get on the scale and decide that that number just means it's giving you some direction as to what to do for the rest of the day. And I don't want that direction to be to punch yourself in the face. Did you see, Kathy, did you mention anything about the June course for members needing to lose 100 pounds? It's not a course, Kathy. We're starting a subgroup for all of you. You're just going to have a group where you guys can talk. There's no specific course for that. You'll be using all, I don't care if you got 10 pounds or 100 pounds or 300 pounds to lose. No BS works for all of it. A lot of you think there's something special about having more weight to lose. That is the most poisonous thought you can have. It's still the basics. No matter how much weight you have to lose, it's always the basics. Thinking that you're somehow more broken or that you need something more elaborate or whatever just doesn't help. So, but you guys will have a special group. I think Mary Jo is getting it set up tonight. I want her to learn how to do it. So I set one group up. We have 2 subgroups opening this month. It's the exercise group and it's the over 100 pounds to lose group. Newbies, you guys will not have access to this until you're done with your new group. I don't want you distracted. You're going to be in your group only. Next month, they will still be there. They're going to be ongoing, so you won't lose out, and you'll be able to find them and everything. But it should be out, Kathy, probably either Mary Jo will have it up tonight or tomorrow at the latest. I don't know if today's the 30th or 31st. Everything starts on June 1st, so we'll have it up by then, of course. But I just want her to be able to have the opportunity to try to do it herself. Okay, I'm going to answer one more. And then we're going to get out of here. Let's see. Let's go with Jill Stewart. Today so far feels like it is going to be a hungry day. I usually drink my coffee early and eat lunch around 11:30 or 12, nothing in between, never really hungry. I have already had a peach and feel the growling starting up again. Should I stick it out until lunch or eat something small? Jill, if it was me, I would practice being hungry and not freaking out about it. If you've had a peach and you've had your coffee, then your stomach is just like you're just a little hungry, but you're not dying. It is not like you can tell yourself this is not like I can't survive. This is not restriction. This is not deprivation. This is just an opportunity for me to practice feeling hunger and not making this a freaking emergency today. Because there's always going to be hungry days. Just like this whole life, like literally my stomach's been growling. I woke up hungry and I was working out and stuff and I just didn't have time to eat. Again, like guys, I was like on the borderline of canceling this. Trust me, some of the drama that was coming up from me was like, well, you know you're hungry. Like you're never going to make it through this live. Like I do that stuff. You all will do that stuff. The thing is that I don't make it mean that something's gone terribly wrong. I just decided it's like, you'll eat before you're 10 o'clock. You're not going to die. Plenty of room in the inn over here. We're going to be fine. So I think that's one of the things to just remind yourself is that, you know, if you've already had some food and stuff and you've got your plan laid out and everything, you know, rather than sitting around thinking this is just going to be a hungry day, just say, this is a day that I'm going to learn how to be a little hungry and not freak out because of it. All right, guys. Looks like that's it for the day. Y'all are doing jumped in late. How do you join a group? Oh, people are posting. Thank you, Missy, for posting the links and stuff. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. The podcast is Losing 100 Pounds with Fit and Fat. Right now, I think we are wrapping up. We're either on the 3rd installment of our weekend series. We've been talking for 3 weeks on how to handle weekends, how to plan for them, how to be in the middle of a weekend, especially if you derail in the middle, how to get right back on, and then how to, on the back end, look back at what happened so that you can set yourself up for a little bit better weekend the next weekend. If you want to be a groupie, all you have to do is go to the links that Missy posted in here. If you are listening to this on the podcast, I always drop the Wednesday podcast, or the Wednesday Facebook Live is always a Saturday podcast. So my podcast comes out every Friday and Saturday. You can go to PHIT.click/podcast to find it. Or if you want to be at one of the groupies, I highly recommend you go into pnp411.com. Make sure that you've taken my free course first. That will give you an idea if you like how I teach weight loss. If you don't like the course, you don't need to bother with being a groupie. But if you take the course, you will get invited to be a PNP groupie, to be in the free Facebook group where you can get support while you're doing your course and while you are listening to the podcast. And I think that's about it. You guys have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Wednesday. And if you ever have things, guys, that you want me to talk about, just email support@pnptribe.com. And then my assistant will make sure that I get the stuff. And then you'll never know when I'll just do a big old Q&A day or when I'll just pick your topic and be like, let's talk. Y'all have a good one. Bye, y'all.